Could we actually be looking at a 3% raise to Social Security benefits in 2021? I'm talking about a real, meaningful boost, not the insulting 1.3% raise that the Social Security Administration just announced. And let me tell you, when I first saw this news come across my screen this morning, I had to do a double take, because this is actually exciting. This is the kind of update that I know so many of you have been waiting and hoping for, and I am here to break it all down for you right now. So if you are someone receiving Social Security benefits, whether that's retirement, disability, or even SSI supplemental security income, you are going to want to stay locked in for this entire video because I am going to cover everything, including some real numbers and real examples that are going to show you exactly what this means for your monthly check. And hey, if you are brand new here, welcome to the channel. Please hit that subscribe button down below because every single day I am here fighting for you, advocating for you, and bringing you the most important updates that affect your financial life. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Your continued support means everything to me, and it genuinely keeps me going every single day. All right, let's get into this because this is really important stuff. So let's start from the beginning and talk about what is actually on the table right now. The Social Security Administration officially announced a 1.3% cost of living adjustment, also known as a COLA, for 2021. Now on the surface, you might think, okay, a raise is a raise, right? Well, not so fast. When you actually sit down and do the math on what 1.3% translates to in real dollar amounts, it is honestly embarrassing. We are talking about the average retiree seeing their monthly check go up by about $20. $20. That is it. For someone who is living on Social Security and depending on it as their primary source of income, $20 a month is not even going to cover one trip to the grocery store. It is not going to cover a copay at the doctor's office. It is certainly not going to make a dent in the rising costs that every single one of us is dealing with right now. And here is what really gets me fired up about this. The 1.3% raise that the SSA announced is actually the second lowest raise in the entire history of the Social Security program. Let that sink in for a second. In a year where we have seen prices rise dramatically, and I mean dramatically, almost parabolic in some cases, they want to hand Social Security beneficiaries the second lowest raise in the program's history. Groceries are more expensive. Rent is more expensive. Prescription medications are more expensive. Utilities, transportation, healthcare, all of it going up. And the response from the Social Security Administration is essentially to hand everyone a $20 bill and say good luck. I am sorry, but that is completely unacceptable, and it makes absolutely no sense when you look at the real-world circumstances that people are living through right now. But here is where the good news comes in, and this is why I am genuinely excited to be bringing you this update today. We actually have lawmakers, real people in positions of power, who are stepping up and saying, enough is enough. Two Democratic lawmakers in the House of Representatives are introducing a brand new bill, and they are doing it right now, today, as we speak. This bill is called the Emergency Social Security COLA for 2021 Act, and the whole purpose of this legislation is to implement an emergency 3% raise to Social Security benefits for 2021 going into effect immediately. Now, these two lawmakers are making the exact argument that I have been making, and that so many of you already know to be true from your own lived experience. They are standing up in the House of Representatives and saying that the current 1.3% raise simply does not cover the increased costs that retirees and other Social Security beneficiaries are facing in today's economy. And I 100% agree with that. If you agree with that too, go ahead and hit the like button right now, because the more we can spread this message, the more pressure gets put on the right people to actually make this happen. The fact that this bill is being introduced today is a big deal. It means that there are people inside the government who are paying attention, who are listening, and who understand that the current proposal falls dramatically short of what beneficiaries actually need. And look, I am not going to sugarcoat anything here. I never do. Nothing has passed yet. This is still a bill being introduced. But the momentum is there and the argument is strong, and I am going to walk you through exactly why this matters so much in dollar and cents terms. Let me give you the real numbers here, because I know a lot of you have reached out and said you want concrete examples, not just percentages. Percentages can feel abstract. What you really want to know is how much more money is going to be in your check every single month. And I love this part because I genuinely love running these numbers and making sure you have the clearest picture possible. Let's start with retirement benefits. The average Social Security retirement beneficiary in 2020 is receiving $1,523 per month. Under the current 1.3% raise that the SSA announced, that monthly benefit would go up by about $20, bringing you to roughly $1,543. Now let's look at what the 3% emergency raise would do instead. With 3% applied to that same $1,523 benefit, your monthly check would jump up to $1,569. That is a raise of $46 per month. Now I know $46 might not sound like a life-changing amount on its own, but compare it to $20 and suddenly you are talking about more than double the increase. Over the course of a full year, that difference adds up to over $300 that would be in your pocket rather than sitting on the table. That matters. That is real money for real people. Now let's talk about disability benefits because I want to make sure every single person watching this feels seen and gets the information they need. The average Social Security disability beneficiary in 2020 is receiving $1,261 per month. Under the 1.3% raise, that would mean an increase of about $16 per month. $16. Under the proposed 3% emergency raise, that same benefit would climb from $1,261 up to $1,299, a raise of $38 per month. Again, more than double what the current proposal would give you. And again, over 12 months, that is hundreds of additional dollars that would make a real difference in the lives of people who depend on these benefits every single month. And for those of you who want an even simpler way to think about it, here's a quick, easy example. If you receive $1,000 a month in benefits, just a nice round number to make the math easy, the 1.3% raise means $13 more in your pocket. The 3% raise means $30 more. The difference between the two proposals is an extra $17 every single month, which is nearly double. So any way you slice it, any way you run the numbers, the 3% raise is dramatically better for beneficiaries across the board. Now, I also want to take a moment to talk specifically to those of you who are receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, because I always make sure to include you, and I never want anyone in this community to feel like they are being left behind or overlooked. The 1.3% raise that was announced was going to apply to SSI recipients as well, so everybody receiving Social Security and SSI was going to see that increase in their monthly payment. Now, when it comes to whether this proposed 3% emergency raise would also extend to SSI recipients, I want to be completely honest with you right now. I am still working on confirming that information. From everything I was going through this morning, I did not see explicit confirmation that the 3% would also flow through to SSI in the same way. I believe it likely will, based on how these adjustments have historically worked, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you something is confirmed when I have not seen that evidence with my own eyes. That is not how I operate, and that is not what you deserve from me. What I can promise you is this: the moment I have solid confirmation on what this means specifically for SSI recipients, I will be right back here with that update. I will not leave you hanging. I am going to continue digging into this, and as soon as I have answers, you will have answers. That is my commitment to every single one of you. Now let's talk about what happens next, because I know that is what a lot of you are thinking about. This bill is being introduced in the House of Representatives today. The House is currently controlled by Democrats, which means there is a genuinely reasonable chance that something like this could pass through the House. I mean, look, if a Democratic-controlled House of Representatives cannot pass an emergency cost of living adjustment for Social Security beneficiaries who are struggling with rising costs across the board, then something has gone seriously wrong. This is not a partisan issue when you get right down to it. This is about real people, many of whom are elderly, many of whom are disabled, many of whom have absolutely no other source of income beyond these monthly benefits. Giving those people an additional few dozen dollars a month is not a radical idea. It is the bare minimum of what should be happening right now. And think about it from a purely practical standpoint. Yes, if you multiply this across all Social Security beneficiaries, the total cost adds up maybe $10 billion, maybe $20 billion. But in the context of the federal budget and everything that has been spent over the past year, that number is relatively modest. And the impact on the actual human beings receiving these benefits would be enormous. The difference between a $20 raise and a $46 raise might not sound like much to someone who has never had to count every single dollar, but for someone who is living on a fixed income and watching prices go up around them, that difference is groceries. That difference is a medication refill. That difference is keeping the heat on for another week. It is real, and it is significant, and it absolutely deserves to be fought for. So here is where we stand. The Emergency Social Security COLA for 2021 Act is being introduced in the House today. pushed forward by two Democratic lawmakers who are standing up and saying that the current 1.3% raise is not good enough for the people who depend on these benefits. The bill would implement an emergency 3% raise going into effect in 2021, which would mean roughly $46 more per month for the average retiree and about $38 more per month for the average disability beneficiary. That is more than double what the current proposal offers. Nothing is guaranteed yet. This still needs to move through the legislative process, but the fact that this is being pushed forward is genuinely encouraging news. And I want you to feel that hope today. I am going to keep watching this very closely, and I will be back with updates the moment anything changes or moves forward. As always, I am here every single day doing everything I can to make sure you have the most accurate, most up-to-date, most useful information possible. You deserve to know what is happening with your benefits, and I am never going to stop fighting to make sure you do. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your trust, and I will catch you very soon with the next update. Take care of yourselves, everybody.